No, morning everyone, and greetings everyone at the back. Today I'm with councillors here and also our legal team. I will introduce Advocate Jill later. She will also take us through in terms of legal proceedings. Mine is just to confirm that today we have filed these papers against the municipality and other departments. They are all cited here, but mainly, as you know, we are facing a crisis of sewer in eThekwini. It's for that reason we have decided as ActionSA to actually act on behalf of people of South Africa, on behalf of the residents of eThekwini. You also know that we also had a petition where we are asking residents to share with us about their own personal frustration around sewer crisis. I must say that there's a notion that sewer only affects beaches. It affects communities all over eThekwini. So we are here to fight for everyone in eThekwini. I was in Savannah Park and some places in Umlazi and Chilimnyama, where sewer is spilling all over communities. And I can tell you, you can't even tolerate the smell when you stand around these areas. But bottom line is, when there is sewer, it's all spilled towards rivers, and those rivers all lead to beaches. That's really why we're here. That is why you will see on some of papers we are actually citing tourism department, especially the minister, because we believe tourism minister should really get involved in such issues. We are also citing Minister of Water and Sanitation, because we believe that ministers, especially water and sanitation, should also do something about the issue of infrastructure. They talk to issue of sanitation in eThekwini. We're also mainly citing Cooperative Minister Dlamini-Zuma. You will remember that she declared a state of disaster, and till that time, I can tell you nothing is really happening in terms of infrastructure. And we believe that they should be assisting eThekwini municipality. This can't be a fight for council alone, although we believe a municipality should play a bigger part on these issues, but government and all state institutions should get involved. You will recall also, which frustrates many residents, the president announced that there will be a relief of 1 billion rand. And I can tell you, it's still frustrating that no one knows where is 1 billion rand that the president spoke about. You ask the Premier or MEC of Finance, they will tell you they've never received a cent from national government. When you ask the Minister of Finance, he will say, no. Actually, provinces were supposed to readjust their own budgets to make up this 1 billion rand. So we believe someone is not really coming out clear here. But also, our challenge is infighting in eThekwini. The issue between the mayor and the deputy mayor. The deputy mayor is the one responsible for infrastructure. But we also believe that their infighting is also causing this problem we are sitting with. So it's for that reason we believe court will be able to compel eThekwini municipality to do what it's supposed to do. I must say it's unfortunate that ActionSA have to go this route. Actually, I must say going to court is not easy, it's not actually cheap. But we are doing this not because we've got money to go to courts. We are doing this because we believe we have a role to play. We must act to fix eThekwini. We must act to fix South Africa. And we strongly believe that court will be able to compel eThekwini municipality to do what it's supposed to be doing actually. And I'm sure Jill will go through exactly some legal processes we're going to be following. But I can also tell you the frustration that we hear from tourists. People are coming to eThekwini who want to come to eThekwini. It's December time, you know it's holiday times. Everyone who wants to come to eThekwini must think twice because of our beaches not being safe. But also concerning that eThekwini municipality is using internal testing people who are not really doing justice because they give us misreading. In most cases, we get these wrong ratings from municipality, and where people are subjected to unhealthy condition. Because if you go and swim at the beach with the high alkaline, definitely it's a challenge in terms of health, but also mainly it's issue of livelihood. There are so many South Africans who actually depend on economy that comes with tourism. I can tell you hotels are complaining that those who intend to book are actually cancelling bookings because they are saying, why must I come to eThekwini when beaches will be closed or when beaches are not safe, because the city is actually opening some beaches which are not safe. I can tell you, for example, Battery Beach, eThekwini made a statement, I think today again, to say Battery Beach is opened. But the independent results are showing that Battery Beach is not safe. Equality is still high. So it's for that reason we also believe that something must be done, but we also hope that our courts will definitely help us and help South Africans who want to use our beaches. But I must say also we are happy that we got a date. The date will be 27th of February next year, where we'll come and really make our case here in court. I'm going to hand over to Jill to just take us through in terms of our some of the legal proceedings.
Good day and hi to everybody. We have now issued the court papers, which now constitute a public document, with the assistance of our attorney, Tamsin Jones from Tomlinson Nguni James Attorneys here in Umhlanga, who will act as our local representatives, and with the assistance of Shackleton Mahapi Attorneys in Johannesburg. We have cited 8 different respondents. That goes from provincial, and firstly national, provincial and municipal levels of government, as we feel that they are all to blame for the situation in which eThekwini finds itself, and the situation has been ignored long before the floods, and we believe that action must now be taken by whomever is obligated to do so. We feel that, and the court papers are based on a declaratory order stating that these 3 tiers of government have contravened the legislation that obliges them to act in the citizens' best interest. That is to protect tourism, the environment, but mostly the lives of the people here on the ground, who are going to lose small business opportunities from the lack of tourism that will be occurring, and from the fact that they are living in conditions that are unhealthy and unsafe. The misreporting and the lack of transparency forms a big part of the papers, and we want the court to order that independent persons be appointed to advise residents and the public at large what the real situation is. People, for instance, in Johannesburg cannot decide whether they should or shouldn't come on holiday in December because they're not being given accurate information as to whether it is safe or not. Even overseas visitors are asking these questions. So it is impacting heavily on the economy of eThekwini, and it needs to be resolved. That can only be done when we have competent and independent persons appointed to do so, and that is what we have asked the courts to do. Once that information is then made available, we will then return to this court in further proceedings and ask the court to compel these various respondents, the 1st to 8th respondents, to now start putting their obligations into actual action. Thank you.
Thank you. Same down.
Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for coming. So now we'll open up for questions and answers, and just let us know what media house you're from and to whom you're directing the question. Any questions? Any takers?
They're all covered.
You're all covered.
How can we ensure transparency and accuracy in terms of representing the correct results to the public? And then I'm talking about in terms of bringing in, as you spoke about, private consultancies and private individuals or professionals to actually give off the correct results. Because I think if you look at what Talbot is giving the municipality and what's on, if you go and test the water, it's 2 different things altogether. It's like chalk and cheese. Yeah.
I think it's for that reason we're actually asking for independent board to test and also make those as public, because it will show us what the city is actually displaying. Because when you go to these beaches, you will find it. And also the challenge is the city only tests maybe twice a month, and sometimes the reading will change. Because what we are saying is you must fix the infrastructure that lead to a sewer spilling to the beaches. So you can go and test, but up until you fix the infrastructure, you always have these readings that keep changing now and then. But it's required, I think the city must also test more regularly, because it's risky to allow people to swim when you know very well that there's still sewer spilling towards the rivers.
And the one more thing in terms of the constitution.
Sorry, what? Corinda?
Corinda from Africa. Just for our records, can you tell us how many of our 27 constitutions are not working according to what we had?
Sorry?
The promising.
We haven't received the latest numbers from the city.
Does ActionSA know that are not working or not operating to its full function?
Look, we haven't received exactly the figure. That is why some of the information we're asking the city to provide and be transparent, because we did visit some of the pump station, but you can't say you've done all. So I think it would be not fair for us to say because we've seen some and then we give you that number. And I think the city, we are saying, before it comes, as Jill was saying, before it come back to court, we want some information from the city. That information will come on those documents.
Sorry, if I may. Information that we have from a Chamber of Commerce meeting that was held in March before the floods showed that there's about 8,000 kilometers of water reticulation and systems in the region, the eThekwini region, and 80% of that was not in an acceptable condition. So we would also like to know exactly how many of the water treatment plants and how many of the pump stations are not operational at this point. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
kungahambi kahle ikakhulukazi kuyindlela ethuthekela olwandle nokuthi ngilathokuma ngesinisi uthe ayiqhamuki akuyona la ilwandle kuphela njengoba abantu becabanga ikhona nawo ezinye indawo ngesizulu.
Namhlanje ngoqinisa nje ukuthi yena sila enkantolo siwafakela amaphepha la khona sicela khona inkantolo ukuthi iphoqe umkhandlu weTheku kanye nezinye inhlaka kahulumeni uqinisekisa ukuthi isimo senqalasizinda siyalungisa eThekwini ikakhulukazi esithintana nendle ngoba siyabona indle igeleza ingena olwandle ikakhulukazi indle ayiqhamuki kuphela isingena olwandle isho iqhamuka phakathi kwamakhaya kunendawo esiyivakashele as ActionSA sabona ukuthi kunesimo esinzima kakhulu la khona abantu bahleli nendle eduze kwemizi yabo isimo sikutshela ukuthi nesimo sezempilo kasekho sihle kunezingane lapha koSavana utshela eminyama izingane edlala kuwo lezi ndawo lezi einendle sokumngozi obuningi yikho sithi ke manje lendle ngoba isuka ihamba igcina ingena emfuleni lo mfula le yonke igcina isiphela olwandle nasemabhishi so ingakho sithi ke indawo zokubhukuda sithinteke kakhulu ikakhulukazi umnotho wesifundazwe uyathinteka ngoba phela iTheku yazi ukuthi lona ndawo ngampela eyisizinda somnotho kwaZulu-Natal uma kufa iTheku usho ukuthi umnotho kwaZulu-Natal namathuba emisebenzi ke aphela kubantu bakithi abasebenza kakhulukazi ngezokuvakasha yingakho emaphepheni ethu sibala kakhulu nongqongqoshe kuzwe lonke wezokuvakasha kanti futhi sibala nongqongqoshe wezokubusa emakhaya kanti kakhulu ukubaleka kakhulu ukuthi ke nongqongqoshe wezamanzi nozokuthwa kwendle siyambala naye ukuthi abasebenzisane ngoba sithi lempi akwazi kuba yimpi kuphela yomkhandlu weTheku kube yimpi yawo bonke akumele abalungisa isimo seThekwini siyakholwa lokho inkantolo izokwazi ukuthi ivune isicelayo kuyona ukuthi ngampela uhulumeni waKwaZulu-Natal nozwe lonke uwenze isimo lakho singathi amalungelo abantu awavikelekanga kakhulukazi ngokwezempilo kanye nesimo somsebenzi.
Nikhala ukuthi kunemali yabinyezelwa umongameli ukuthi izosiza ingqalasizinda emva kweyikhukhula kodwa engathi nithi ayikazi ibonakala isiza abantu mhlawumbe engasiphawulela ukuthi ngesizwe.
Njengamanje ngicabanga ukuthi wonke umuntu uyadunguzela ukuqonda ukuthi kwenzakalani ngemali umongameli athi izophuma e1 billion okumele kuyona esiza ukutakula uKwaZulu-Natal emva kokuba sibe nenhlekelele eyaba khona manje ke umbuzo ogcina ungaphenduleki ukuthi leyo mali leyo ikuphi futhi itholakala kuphi kumele yenze ini ngoba siyazi ukuthi inqalasizinda yathinteka kakhulu la KwaZulu-Natal kakhulukazi la eThekwini kodwa uma uya kuhulumeni kusifundazwe bakutshela khoma labayitholile from kuhulumeni kokuzwe lonke nongqongqoshe wezeyimali qaleni wakuseyena umama noMsadube wayephethe ezeyimali naye wakusho wacaca ukuthi yena ayikho imali abayitholile futhi uhulumeni kuzwe lonke akasho lutho nongqongqoshe wezeyimali kuzwe lonke uma sekhuluma uphinda ashintshe futhi athi no kahle ayikho imali abazoyikhipha eqhamuka kuzwe lonke isifundazwe kumele sibheke kusona ukuthi ayikho imali singaba nayo ukuthi silungise inqalasizinda ingakho ke sithi ke khona umdlalo wepolitiki odlalwayo lana kodwa ngebhadi udlalwa ngeimpilo zabantu ngoba abantu abathintekayo njengamanje ingakho sikholwa ukuthi ke inkantolo zokubheka konke kusayitha konke emapheni ethu ukuthi yena kumele kubheke ukuthi ngampela kwenzakalani ngale mali ezigidi okumele ikhishwe kuzwe lonke.
It's Kavil from News 24. So, Kele, the municipalities recently announced that they have plans to repair the northern treatment waterworks, and I think it was one other pump station ahead of the December holidays, and they plan to do that within the next 2 weeks. You've obviously been in touch with Talbot, Adopt a River, those sort of organizations. I mean, do you believe that that's realistic? And if that isn't realistic, what are we going to see ourselves left with as the December holidays sort of emerge?
Look, I don't think it's realistic when the mayor is still going around posing for pictures, going around attending events. eThekwini have no leadership. So the plans are just plans on paper. You can't tell me after 7 months, you still have a plan. And you must also remember that Minister declared a state of disaster, which means there's no excuse of saying there's a long process in terms of procurement. Disaster regulations allow you to shorten the circuit, so meaning you can just quickly appoint service providers. So these plans they're referring to, I don't believe will materialize anytime soon. And also, as I said earlier, the infighting between the mayor and deputy mayor, we believe is the result of what we're facing today, because you've got a deputy mayor who's always fighting in the public space with the mayor, and they're losing focus. The deputy mayor is actually a chairperson of infrastructure, so he's the one responsible to deal with this issue we're facing today. So I doubt that that plan will materialize.
Is there anything in the legislation
Which media?
It's not media.
that would enable one to...
Sorry, what media house are you from, sir?
I'm on for the private Durban North Media House.
Local residents.
I think you'll respond to that.
Yeah, to compel the mayor to actually attend a meeting in the city hall where the public is invited and where the press are there, so that you can ask some searching questions, and it's got to be accountable. You know, because I hear political parties talking about picketing, and it's all very well. I mean, we're here and we can go to the city hall, we can march, but they carry on with impunity. I don't think that's going to have an effect. But if you actually get the guy on the stand and you have the press over there and you ask some hard questions, you get ANC-A, you get the big boys here, I think that could do something. So I'm saying, is there anything in the legislation that compels them to do that?
I think I've Jill will respond to that, but I can tell you what we are doing today is to exactly to move away from complaining, do something. Because as you know, some parties have been like protesting, having pickets, but not taking action. So some, after they heard that we are taking action, they also want to take action. So we welcome them to join now, because we've already filed these papers with the court. So we're hoping that other parties will also join us if they're really serious about fighting for people of eThekwini. But I will allow Jill to answer that question.
Certainly, insofar as the legislation that we are declaring them to be in breach of, there are no provisions compelling them to attend a meeting with members of the public. That is why we are asking the judiciary to compel them to start taking action and actually taking people's concerns seriously. It is an annexure to the papers which the media would be well advised to read. It's a 20-page affidavit. The annexures I know are cumbersome, but you will see that there are bylaws that prescribe penalties for the infractions that the respondents have basically committed. So if we don't get the assistance of the courts, unfortunately the only other way you're going to have to or be able to deal with what is happening is in the next elections, I'm afraid. So we're hoping, because that's too far away, that we get some assistance to try and save eThekwini.
I think what they're doing is fantastic. I mean, this is the first demonstration by a political party to take legal action, and the action you take is absolutely wonderful. That's why I'm here. I'm standing here, I'm battling with my health, but I'm here to support you guys. So
We appreciate the support. Thank you.
When I say public accountability, I'm thinking of that as a dual approach, not as a separate thing at all. So that's where I come from.
Thank you.
Thank you. Corinda?
Just get clarity on how long this process will take. You mentioned you're back in court on 27 February, but in terms of finalization, a decision when you can actually see a court compel the municipality.
Well, obviously we will come and argue the matter on the 27th of February. The respondents now have a period of 15 days to enter a notice of intention to defend, oppose the application, and then they have an opportunity to prepare their answering affidavit. whilst I can only speculate as to what their opposition to that will be, I have no doubt that, as with all court proceedings, there will possibly be delays, and we just hope that the courts deal with the matter decisively and as expeditiously as possible. Unfortunately, the matter is too late to be heard to salvage the Christmas period or the festive season now for tourism and other small businesses. But we are hoping that at least we have some firm action or decision from the court before the Easter festivities next year, when the next big batch of tourists are expected.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for coming.
What's
So hot, I'm done. Come, ANC.
But just whatever you're up there, I'm not too